Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Douglas Conservation Commission meeting, date of
20th, May 20th.
May 20th. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast by local access programming with remote participation available as provided on our agenda. Is there anyone here recording tonight's meeting? None being seen. I hereby call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Members in attendance are, roll call please.
Mark Munjum.
Jim Foreign.
Mike Greco.
Joe Fitzpatrick. Everybody absent, right?
Yeah, Josiah.
Oh, yep. And Josiah's absent tonight. Anybody hear from him?
There was an email.
Yeah, he sent an email saying.
Okay, that's excused. Okay, our first item on the agenda is 7 o'clock. It's a public hearing, request for determination on a,
Nope, tonight we're just taking care of the enforcement orders, Mr. Chairman.
okay,
So we got Lakeshore Drive and CRG Gilboa Street, and that's it.
okay.
Oh, wait a minute, we do have a, no, you're right, number 3, new business. Request for determination of applicability, Parker Court. I'm sorry. That is going to be one that, this is why I forgot, it's because Matt Benoit is taking care of that one, that's why.
Okay. So, request for termination for Parker Court, removing dead trees. Is there anybody here that's presenting that?
Yes.
Come on up. Just state your name for the record so that,
I don't know where you want me to sit.
right there, in each chair.
How you doing? Good evening. My name is David Coster. I'm the owner of the residence in question. We had some trees on the side that's in the buffer zone, and they died, and it's causing some shade on my roof, which I'm getting replaced. So I want to follow all the correct procedures, and they asked me to appear in front of the commission to let them know what the situation was. There are some trees that we're going to trim, but the evergreens, which are dead, were going to be removed.
Okay.
And also, they've grown to the height where they into the utility anchors.
Okay.
So that's something that I don't want to get involved with.
Okay. And they're in the wetlands now?
What is?
The dead trees are in the wetlands,
Yes. Well, they're in the buffer
in
zone.
the buffer zone?
Yes.
Matt, do you have something on this? I can't hear you, Matt. You're muted.
Can't hear you now.
It says you're unmuted, but we still can't hear you.
He's giving a brief.
Oh, now, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
right
now we can hear you.
Okay. So much for the headset, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just need to share my screen if I could. Just wanted to show some photos that I took while I was on site. I think you have some of these in your packets. What we have are, I believe there are, Mr. Costa, how many pine trees on this side are there?
I think there's 3 or 4 on the side. There's that's a pine tree also, the one that's in the utility. So,
There's 4 or 5, correct?
yes,
And the ones in the back are not on your property line, like that one there is not on your property line, right?
which one? I can't
Okay.
see.
So I didn't have any issues with these trees, as obviously they're dead, and this is well outside the buffer zone. There's one tree in the front also,
Yes, if you're
or
familiar
pair of
with,
trees that's in the front.
if you're familiar with Parker Court, when they plow.
And these are also declared by the arborist to be rather in poor shape and are a false safety hazard to the neighboring property as well as the house.
When they come and plow the road, and it's tough to make that corner, so they end up hitting the tree.
Okay.
Right. And then in the back, there's one very large tree that is to be groomed.
Correct.
But not removed. Is that correct?
That is correct, because you can't grow any grass underneath it.
So my main issue was this tree, if this one was to be removed, because it's pretty close to the water, and I didn't want to see the stump come out. That's not the case. I don't have any issues, Mr. Chairman, with issuing a negative determination on this issue.
Matt, we're not able to see these pictures. All we see are the thumbprints up on the screen.
Those, I think, the same.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get this sharing correct. Let me just do an all-out share. How's that?
Okay.
Yep, you
Okay.
see that better?
Yeah, that's a tree that's going to be trimmed.
Yeah, this is the tree that's to be trimmed in the back. These are the pines on the side.
Okay.
I believe there's, this one doesn't count. This is one, there's two, there's three, there's four. I think there's 5 on this side that are marked with the right band, or at least marked out there to be removed. I don't have any issues with these. The arborists already declared these dead, so I had no problem with those. And this is the 2 in the front, and you see the bolt kind of growing out the tree. Obviously, these ones are more of a fall hazard to the neighboring property as well as the house itself. And these are pretty far at the edge of the buffer zone, I guess.
That's outside the buffer zone. But we wanted to put it all, be above board with everything we're declaring.
So it's these 5 pines, trimming of this tree in the back, and this one in the front
Correct.
And you said the
to
stump,
be removed, and the stump will come out of this. The stumps would also come out of the pines on the side, and then replaced with grass and plants and bushes, I guess.
Either arborvitae's or a small oak fence. It depends on the cost, really, at that time, what's available.
Matt, what was it you were saying about the stump on one tree that's near the pond?
Yeah, my concern was that tree was being removed, but I guess that's not part of this scope. My
Okay.
concern was that one would cause an issue, and kind of, they would need some erosion control measures to prevent any sort of runoff from happening towards the lake, but that tree is not to be removed. It's just going to be groomed. So I kind of scaled back on that.
Okay. Thank you.
you got anything else, Jim?
No, I'm good.
Mike? Anybody from the audience have anything? Brennan? Anybody else on Zoom? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to,
Just so you know, deer love arborvitae, and we'll just
Yeah, I just don't want to
prune them up for you as high as they can reach.
Once I source the product, then we'll know what the cost is. Right now, we're dealing with the trees.
Yep, yep, you had mentioned that you wanted to
Yes.
replant with arborvitae, so I'm just suggesting that,
Okay, my
you
friend.
might
Then
want to
I
consider
appreciate
other-
comments.
other trees.
okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this.
Sure, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
All in favor?
Mark Mangum, aye.
Jim Farr and I.
Joe Fitzpatrick, aye. I'd like to entertain a motion to vote on this for a negative determination.
Aye. Yep. Second,
We have a motion second for a negative determination on 4 Parker Court. Roll call vote, please.
Mark Mangum, aye.
Jim Farr and I.
Joe Fitzpatrick, aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, now we're going to go to the updates. Lake Shore Drive enforcement order. You're up.
I got the as-built here. Yeah, so I can bring it up. I can put it up on the screen.
You got them? Yep, there you go.
Okay.
You get the things in front of you, right?
Yep.
So,
Steal this one.
yeah, it's all the elevations are on there from Northwest Main to the 90-degree corner down at the lowest point. All the swales and all the catch basins and all the culverts are put in there. All the telephone poles, if you look, all the telephone poles are located through this field survey with the numbers on them, so you can locate all the culverts and you can, also the driveways are on there, but I didn't get him the house numbers in time for all the driveways that he put on here that are cut in. I can do that with a red pen or something like that, but I just noticed that tonight when I picked up the plans. So that's as is, what's physically there. You can see this big one if you want, but so all the reference points are there to locate anything you need. Or and up in the top half there, the first 500-something feet. I used to own both sides of the road, but let's go into the association now for drainage, that's where we drain a lot of the stuff before it gets down to the first house on the left down there in the flat part. So that just dissipates before it disturbs anything. And all the 12-inch culverts that go, the starting points and the elevations and where they come out, and the back property are all located on there also.
So in looking at your plan, looking at detail A just to start with,
Yeah.
trying to understand it, because it says 12-inch CPP.
Yep.
What's that mean?
Let me get my glasses on. It's a 12-inch pipe. It's a CP is a technical name for pipe, whatever. 12-inch diameter on the inverts there.
So the 12-inch CPP is corrugated polyethylene pipe, probably.
Correct.
If I had to guess.
And the
And then, so that is the upper end of it, the circle on one side, and then the 10-inch, what's the 10-inch?
that's in the people's front yard, across the street. There was a low-lying area there, so that gets teed off to the 12-inch pipe on the left. And then you can see where it ends down in the backwoods there.
That, I can't, I'm really having a hard time figuring it out.
Here, I'll give you this big, you got a big plan?
Yeah, we got a big one.
So what I'm trying to understand is there a pipe that goes like this?
No, that pipe goes straight across. That pipe goes straight across, and then it's here, and this one here goes into that, see that little circle? There's one under the guy here, the driveway's here. This is on one side of the driveway, this is on one side of the road. This is where it tees off, 12-inch pipe takes it out to the low line here. Same, here, same thing.
Okay.
Like I said, these are driveways here, I can mark them up on red pen, these driveways. Driveway, no telephone
Right.
Memphis, with all the telephone poles all the way down.
Yep.
So the driveways are all established on the field where it's just,
Yep.
So this culvert's here, the swales in the first section. 12 and 5 takes these two down the woods. And the swales and you can see all the culverts. It's really good to put in at the end here. And so maybe just swale, we're gonna put another one in, get so much truck traffic out there right now. We're gonna put another one in. Big swale here, we're gonna put another one in here.
Okay.
There's two there, plus two.
All right. So in some places, it's showing the pipe, like that shows the pipe, right? But this one, it doesn't. This says inward.
Yeah, that's-
here, so there's something up here.
Wait, that's what it is. See, this is closed pipe, so I close it underneath the ground like that.
Yeah.
So underneath the ground, correct.
Right, so it goes like that, to that, to that.
See, it's all,
to that.
it's all scaled up, it's just even ground. Straight line. That's where it is. They're not told we should go without dry lanes, it's not like that. So it gets a little complicated down here, they will follow what Mr. Bruce put in. If you physically, I could physically walk, it would be so much easier, this is the diagram, everything as it is.
So when we get down here, these pipes are connecting up all the way. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, and where does it
Some
come
of
up?
them, something dispersed, like this one here. Goes here to here, then from here to here, because there's a driveway here.
Yeah.
There's driveway here. Rain guard, here.
So we're not going to be able to have you come out and look at the map with us, or with the, with the town, anybody from the, doing the roads or working on the roads in the town. So this really needs to show those lines as to how they move the water. So I would say, it needs to show that pipe that goes between here and here and here and there, if it's there, just so that we know.
That's it,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So if Jarvis could just show that, and that,
Because he
That would
shot here.
yeah, no, he's got all the information to do it.
Like, I didn't get him the house note, the driveways, the house note, Z's, but he said that too, anyway. Get me that. If they can do something, prevent something, this driveways.
Yep. But, I mean, you gave us all the pole numbers, so that's better information than the driveway
Yeah.
numbers.
Could well keep the drives.
Understood, sure. Sure. But if that is in fact an invert out here for a pipe, I want to know what pipe is going, where is it coming from? Is it coming from here?
Yes, I'm just saying how you can do that. Goes from here to here, and then to there.
Right. So, okay.
That's the way it is, and it's 162 elevations, 162 feet from here. So then 162 feet over. Yeah, all the elevation.
So a couple weeks ago, we had a storm where we got like 1.5 inches of rain in an hour. How did this work out?
This will work out fine, right, Jack?
Everything that I witnessed from my properties down, all the culverts accepted the water. Yep.
They kind of monitor it.
Yeah, except where it makes the bend at the very bottom. From there
Yep.
down, there's no BMPs to handle stormwater. So that portion of the road saw some erosion, which then went down the hill on Mr. Moran's property towards the lake, there was sedimentation, there was channelization. I didn't see any sediment go into the lake or evidence that it went into the lake, but it went down and hit the erosion controls and stopped. So I think the last piece of this puzzle is that, last like 5% that still needs to be done. And I was on site last week with Matt Benoit and Mr. Goodison and Mr. Moran. And Mr. Goodison, correct me if I'm wrong, but the question is who's going to handle, because it's a private road, who's going to take care of that last little bit? And Mr. Goodison said that he feels that he's done his part and does not feel compelled to do any more. So the question is, who's going to handle that last little section? And how can it get done? Because
What's the right way to do it?
Yeah, that's the thing, and my recommendation was to talk to the engineer, their own private engineer, on how that might be able to get done. It's not a simple solution, necessarily.
But there must be a lot less water reaching that point, so it must be much better than
I would think so, yes.
I would think.
I would think so, yeah, but there's still some water going down there, so, but nothing like, I don't think it's anything like it happened last August, or July, whenever it happened.
Right. July.
Yeah.
Where's this go to?
That's an iron pipe.
CPP with the flared end invert, 537.58.
Well, that's way down the Jack's property,
Yes, so the drain pipes have been put up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is this what you're just speaking of? Is that the?
And based on my observations, my opinion is that the watershed that led to that washout right there starts around Mr. Moran's driveway and then goes around the corner and then down the hill.
What are these pictures taken?
Those pictures, I'm going to say in the last week and a half, the big storm was, what, middle of last week? Yeah. The email associated is from last Tuesday, 5/14. From the rainstorm last week, which would have been week before last.
Well, I think we need a plan as to what we're going to do for this last. See what else. You got a substantial amount of, you had an inch and a half of rain, if you get more than that, you might have hit the lake. Pretty close.
Is any of this section of road within our jurisdiction? Is it within?
It is not within 100 feet. It's the sediment that's transported down the hill that lands within 100 feet that ends up making the whole thing the commission's problem.
Sure.
So now we're in a conundrum, because if you want that last section somehow rectified. Mr. Goodison said he's not going to do it. So that leaves someone else. Which would be who? That's the question. It's a private road, so.
It's everybody on their private road, isn't it?
Is it the homeowners association? Who is it?
But not everyone's in the homeowners.
Well, this gets stupid again. First of all the water that's coming down the road doesn't, when it gets to the 90 degree,
Yeah.
that's pretty much all dissipated by that end. And not only that, that was all grass when I sold the property. Per conservation, wetland scientist design, and it got all churned up, and, that used to be all pretty much level from side to side. Now it's like a 12-inch crevice.
You mean like a berm?
No.
No, crevice?
It was loomed and seeded before I sold the property, with the erosion is going down the hill.
Okay.
Okay,
Down the road.
correct.
Okay.
So it got disturbed by ATVs and everything like that, which brought the elevation to like a huge culvert now, that just takes, the water comes down that little piece of stretch there and bangs the left down there. It was all nice grass, it was all built up.
Okay.
That's the problem. It's not anybody that's up on the hill's problem.
I'm not talking about the people further up the hill. I'm talking about that last little section at the 90-degree turn.
Correct.
Seems to me that the water from there up is being handled by scuppers and stormwater BMPs that Mr. Goodison just installed.
Correct.
I think they're working pretty good. But starting around Mr. Moran's driveway, which we saw a little bit of erosion coming out of his driveway on his side of the road, then goes down and around the corner, picks up speed, and then ends up taking a turn down the hill on Mr. Moran's property again to the lake.
Absolutely.
So it's that little section there that still has to be rectified.
Correct.
And myself, Mr. Benoit, Mr. Moran, Mr. Goodison were on site last week to try to talk about the issues, the possible solutions. In the end, I think that a professional engineer really needs to look at it. One of the things we talked about was possibly changing the pitch of the road so it pitches away from the lake and away from Mr. Moran's property so it doesn't go down the hill. But then that means that the water keeps on going down towards other people's land, right? So then we were talking about, Mr. Moran has a little bit of land on his side of the road. Maybe a little detention basin could be built there. I don't foresee an issue with the water table right there, but it is very bony with rocks and boulders, so who knows what we're going to find. And even then, there really has to be some kind of emergency overflow, right? Because you can't say that, 100% of it is going to get infiltrated. So where would that overflow outlet be? Where would it go down the lake? Then you might have to come up with an easement on somebody's property. It's a real conundrum. But in order to close this out, somebody needs to look into that. And the question is, who's going to do it? And how is the Conservation Commission going to handle it if nobody does? I don't know. It all depends on what you want to
Well,
do.
why can't it be reclaimed the way it was?
Can it what?
Why can't it be reclaimed the way it was before it could be all eroded away?
Well, didn't the water go over waterfall over onto Mr. Goodison's land?
Well, not with the new culverts in there.
No, but
prior.
before prior, it kind
Yeah,
of,
for a billion years, it went down about 60 feet on the house he built. Well, it was during the snow melt and heavy rains, it was a tributary, whatever you want to call it, that ran constantly. I mean, I've been there over 40 years, and the previous owner said the same thing. They've been there 100 years, So it just came down the road, and it left about 20 feet on the west side of the 90-degree bend, went down and just went right down into the lake for thousands of years, like the next two houses over, does the same thing. There's tributaries going to the lake from, that's what you want to call them.
That's not the way it's going now, so we got to come up with a solution as to
Well, why can't
how to reroute.
why can't it be reloomed, bring the elevation up and reloomed and seeded like it was? An erosion control type thing. It worked fine before I sold the land.
To who?
Morant.
Oh, that strip that goes down to the lake?
Yeah, I owned everything down there.
You're saying that's the way the water went before?
Well,
He's saying it was all grassed in.
it was all grassed in.
Right, but it seems to me...
May I speak? May I approach at
Yeah,
some
why
point?
don't you take the seat next to Jim?
Is it appropriate? Okay. Let me just grab a pen. Good evening. Thank you, Member of the Commission. For the record, Bob Moran, 56 Lakeshore Drive. Yes, water is coming from my driveway. But water didn't come from my driveway before 10 acres of land were cleared, upgraded, okay? There's 6 lots that have been cleared. And the whole of my property performs differently. It makes very simple common sense that if you deforest 10 acres, you change runoff coefficients and flows change. So, yes, looking at this picture, Brandon, if you stay right there, my property is on the right side, and the water now bends to the right side. It sort of hangs on that right side and makes the turn. Previously, it used to shed off naturally to the left before the rock wall was constructed or the berm, and the pitch was such that it just naturally pitched over. So, again, the watershed or the shape and grade of Lakeshore Drive has changed. What do you have for the next picture? Yeah, that's our lower driveway, and there's evidence of erosion. But it wasn't anywhere near this previous to this. It's just more water on our property. This is a different issue. Yeah. So I guess my concern is that Lakeshore Drive didn't do this before. And now I'm kind of stuck. I just happen to be the guy where there's 11 feet of property that heads to the lake. And the pitch, the grade, the berms have been constructed to go right by Mr. Goodison's property, and it heads down mine. And it has scoured out. It has scoured out the slope significantly. There's, you know, straw waters are catching the last bit of sediment, but
So I'm standing, so I'm standing about right here, which is at the edge of Mr. Moran's driveway, right? So now I'm looking down. Everything on this left half of the road is getting caught by the scuppers that Mr. Goodison put in. I'm starting about right here, this right-hand side, you can see there's a little bit of a pitch to the right. I don't know if you can make it out in the picture.
it stays on the inside of the turn there.
Yeah, it stays on the inside of the turn. You know, everything above this is pretty much getting caught by everything that Goodison put us in on the left-hand side here. But starting right here, the inside of the turn, and then everything down here goes down, hits Moran's frontage on the lake, and takes the turn and goes down. And so something's going to be done to catch this last little section right here. What we're thinking about is somewhere down here, maybe change the pitch of the road so it doesn't go down the hill to the lake, and then put in some kind of a detention basin. But this is just non-engineering thinking out loud, and I think the best thing to do is have an engineer look at it, because I don't want to be the one on the hook making a suggestion that somebody follows through with and then it ends up not working. So that's my recommendation, though. The only question is who's going to do it?
Who's the road belong to?
I'm sorry,
Who owns the road there?
Mr. Cahill.
I don't know, the association owns the road.
So it'll be up to the association to come up with a fix for it.
I don't think that's true.
But if they own the whole road, I mean, it's part
Yeah, but the road water's not getting down that far, it's just coming out of his land. There's an underground spring that comes right out of the ground behind, there used to be a garden there, that comes right across, it's been going down there for thousands of years, right down the side of the hill. Used to bang it right on, down below there. Everything was Lot E, Lot E. I sold the land, I don't hear about Lot E anymore, no water comes off of that. This happened before the land was even cleared. The problem is that,
Yes, I would ask the commission, did I change anything?
yes, you destroyed that slope going down to the hill.
I'm prepared to.
So, okay, when you bring that up and plant grass there and everything.
Please don't talk
Okay,
directly
you gotta-
through each other.
you
Everything,
gotta
all
come to the
conversation through the chair, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So you're going to put all this grass back here and all that?
The restoration plan that I provided the commission in September of '23 includes a turf stone slope, which is sort of concrete lattice. It's hardening the slope.
Yep.
It's many thousands of dollars, and I'm a little uncomfortable doing that before this water problem is resolved.
And I can't blame him, Mr. Chairman. Right, so I think that the issues on Lakeshore Drive should be rectified before he goes to spend that money, because there's a good chance that it could get washed out, and then all that money he spent having it installed is going to be all for naught. But the thing is we still got the issue of who's going to finish that last little stretch. I don't know. This question, is it whose responsibility? Is it a homeowners association's responsibility? Is it Mr. Moran's responsibility? Is it Mr. Goodison's responsibility? Is it somebody else's responsibility? Is that really our job to figure out? It isn't. But it's the commission's job to enforce the Wetlands Protection Act and the bylaw. And you already have an enforcement order out, and I suppose that you could use carrots, you could use sticks. The sticks are the fines. But then the question is, who do the fines go to? And it ends up being a legal, can't say the word.
Well, I would think that the people down in that area get together and come up with a resolution that's going to work. First thing I would do is definitely get an engineer to take a look at it. Maybe they have a suggestion that would correct it. And I think that's a starting point.
I think you definitely need an engineer to fix it right. Fix it.
Well, can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, the issue at hand is before these lands were cleared, he was bringing all this, saying all this erosion was because of Lot E, not a dead leaf came off it. He said 9 cubic yards came off it. It was all his dirt and the silt in the lake and everything, Saying it's Lot E, but it's coming out of the ground. There's no water coming off those lots.
I understand what you're saying, but if we have an engineer look at it, they're going to be able to determine where it's probably coming from, okay? Right now, you're saying it's not coming off.
It isn't.
He said it is. I have no idea, okay? So I think the best thing to do is have an engineer look at it.
He can do anything he wants.
Evaluation, okay, and say, okay, this water's coming from here, or it's not coming from here, whatever the case may be, and it's the best way to remedy it. Otherwise, it's just in a stalemate here, and who knows where it's going to end up afterwards. So I think that would be the prudent way to go with it. And right now, I don't know who's the enforcement order with.
enforcement order went to a Schedule A, the Lakeshore Drive Homeowners Association. Then it went also to David W. Cahill, Jack and Cindy Goodison, Robert G. Moran Jr. So that's who it went to.
So unfortunately, that's where it's going to sit right now, and you guys could decide if you want to hire an engineer to figure it out or what, but, I mean, that's, unfortunately, that's where it's sitting.
Could I speak?
Who are you?
Can you-
Could I speak?
Yeah, can you identify yourself?
Yes, Janice Cahill, Northwest Main Street. I lived in the house Mr. Moran purchased from us. The backyard of Mr. Moran has had a spring that comes out of the ground. It's been there since I was a little girl. That's why there's moss there, there's little bluet flowers, those are all wherever it's wet, those things grow. And it's been like that forever. Mr. Moran has taken out hundreds of flower plants, shrubs, trees, and everything else. So when that water sits there and coming out of that spring, it's going right underneath the stone wall and it's making the rut that goes right across Lakeshore Drive. The water that's coming down his second driveway, Mr. Moran's house is on a hill. Water goes downhill. So that water where it's rutted his driveway came off of his property. It came off down that driveway, made ruts in the road, but it came from his property. He lives on a hill. This has been going on, it's ridiculous. That property that went down to the lake was fixed by Mr. Goodison. There was grass all over there. The wetland scientist told Mr. Moran to put some kind of rocks on that piece of grass that he could drive his ATV over. He never did it. He kept driving up and down with his ATV, which destroyed all the grass and everything that lived down there. And then this monsoon came, and the summer was a summer like we've never had before. And you look at that hill where the grass was, it's nothing but ruts. It's all his dirt that went into the lake. Or I don't even think it went into the lake. But that roadway going down that he uses to go to the water was not like that when he purchased it. He used his ATV to go up and down, didn't listen to what the wetland scientist suggested to put rocks on it and go over the rocks. It eroded the whole hill, and that's why the water's going down there. It never went down there when there was grass there.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think this adds really too much value to the conversation. I mean, we got a situation that needs to be fixed. That's the bottom line. It just needs to be fixed, it needs to be rectified somehow, and somebody's got to come up with a plan and execute. That's all. Doesn't matter really where the water came from, where it's going, it just needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the water that goes down that hill also is coming off of his property, the front of his property. It's all straight downhill. When it rains an inch in an hour, coming down that hill, of course it's going to do what it did. It finds its easiest route, and it goes right over where it was eroded.
All I'm hearing is someone's trying to set up a narrative to help them get out of not having to pay for any of this. That's all I'm hearing.
No, that's not true.
it's not true at all.
It just needs to get done.
Because Lottie, he said 10 cubic yards came on, not one dead leaf came off it. This is how this all started, a lot. He lied to the board, this is how it all started.
This is neither here nor there, Mr. Chairman. It needs to get done by somebody.
Well, he should fix
The
it.
commission cares who gets it done. It just needs to get done.
I'm sick of fixing his problem, so.
So here we go. It's some one person doesn't want to do it for the other. That's not the commission's problem.
No, it isn't. It's his problem.
But if it doesn't get done, I would recommend starting to issue fines to the whole lot, and maybe that'll be the stick that gets some cooperation.
In the interest of moving this forward, I am not opposed to working with an engineer, but I don't believe that it should be fully on me. But I understand that's not the commission's issue, but I want that on record. I will initiate the process, and we have another issue to talk about as well.
I don't think we're going to handle that one tonight, though.
Okay?
Yeah. The other issue, Mr. Chairman, is the boulders down at
Yeah.
the lake. Do you want to do that one tonight or not? I think personally, I think it's outside of the scope of this particular one.
Yeah, I'd rather
Can
get
wait.
this one done and
Yeah.
handled before we get into something else, okay?
Okay, so what is the expectation of the commission for next meeting?
I'd like to have an engineer give his professional opinion as to where the water's coming from, what's causing, and how to rectify it, okay?
The next,
I disagree. I don't think we care about where its water's coming from. I just think we care about where it's going and dealing with how it's not going to impact the lake any further.
I would tend to agree with Mr. Mungem. And I doubt, that next meeting's on June 3rd. I doubt that you're going to get those answers back quickly from an engineer, so it would be nice just to see that there's some kind of engagement, some kind of paperwork to show that there's engagement with an engineer and that they're beginning to work on it. I would be happy with that, and then go from there. Yeah.
Okay, when is the meeting after June 3rd?
June 17th.
Jack Goodison, 55 Lakeshore, and 34 Lakeshore. At this point, I'd like to ask if I could be removed from this argument, for this situation. I've spent close to $50,000 without asking for any help from anybody else. My involvement from the beginning was that I had created about an 8-inch berm because of my new landscaping that I did under conservation when I built my driveway. I've eliminated that. I've put in multiple culverts. I've taken all the water from any place it's coming from. I've received it at my property. It now crosses underneath my landscaping and filters back in towards the stream. I put in a 1,000-gallon underground concrete holding tank. I put in 2 ponds. I believe that I've gone above and beyond any obligation that I had. And if this thing boils down to a Moran Cahill issue or what this last 20% of water is, going to be rectified and how it's going to be rectified, really don't feel I should be involved at that point. I feel I've done my share. And I'd like the commission to consider removing me from the argument.
We appreciate what you've done to date.
As do I.
So this water situation is beyond your property, correct?
Yes.
That 90-degree turn?
Well, Mr. Goodison does have a little bit more frontage around the bend. I think what he's saying is he's taking care of so much going up the hill from there that he feels that he's done his part. He doesn't feel compelled to do any more.
Certainly has done a lot.
I will agree.
And I'm sure everybody down there appreciates what he's done, too.
I think so.
I would hope so, anyways.
So anyway, this last 10 to 20% needs to be taken care of, and Mr. Goodison feels that he's done his part, and then others need to pick up the ball and run in with it from here.
But if an engineer is brought in, I would like them to review it from where the water starts to go towards the pond in that area and across Mr. Moran's property, not just start, say, at the corner, but
Right.
if the water's still,
Get a little more holistic about, and go up the hill and just do an
well,
assessment.
I mean, not all the way up to the
Yeah, not all the way up.
Main, but I
Right,
just
right.
mean around the corner enough that you said that the water is going along the right side of the road right there, so it's still contributing, correct?
Correct.
This little corner is
Yeah,
still
just that little
contributing, so
corner.
I just think he should come up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Got that?
May I address the chair?
Yes.
As regards an engineer considering uphill, I certainly wouldn't be in a position to support that. I mean, that's Lakeshore Drive.
Well, I think that what Mr. Munjam's saying is we got to figure out what the watershed is that's contributing
Right.
to going around that bend. So he's got to do a little bit of assessment going uphill just to figure out where, the water is coming from so that they can figure out what the volumes and velocities and all that are going to be. Am I wrong?
No, you're correct.
Okay. I don't think it's going to be a whole heck of a lot more analysis, so.
And that is, basically, your house is right there, that road crosses the front of your house anyways, right? So, that's what we're gonna do.
Okay. So I think what the commission's looking for is some kind of engagement letter or agreement or something. You don't have to show the numbers and, how much is getting spent, but just some kind of proof that an engineer's been engaged.
So I have no problem taking, sorry, your name?
Mr. Goodman?
Yes.
Goodison,
Since he's done so much as it is office name.
that's your call.
Do you have any objection to that? Taking Mr. Goodson off?
Oh, absolutely not.
Mr. Moran? No.
I shouldn't be on there either.
Well, we still need to finish this 20% or 15, whatever is left, so.
It's good.
I don't know who's going to pay for it, but like Brandon said, it's not our responsibility to figure that out.
What's coming off of his land?
You guys need to figure it out. And I would say, personally, if you guys can't figure it out by, June 17th, then we can start enforcements.
I don't think there's any need to make a motion on that, but just the fact that it's been heard, it could be put in the minutes so that when June 17th comes around, everybody can jog their memory, and then you can decide whether or not you want to do fines. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So what I'm getting here is that show engagement by an engineer by June 3rd, and by June 17th, there should be some progress on it.
Is there anything?
Yes. So when it's proven that it's just coming off of his land, am I going to get off with this? This is what I'm saying.
That, Mr. Chairman, I think is a civil-type argument.
It
over
is.
responsibility and ultimately who's going to pay for what, and that's,
That's beyond our scope.
yeah.
It's-
I think that the marching orders are clear.
Anything else?
I guess the one question to Brandon, we had talked about the slight modification to the turf stone slope, the addition of stairs. This, I would consider an update to the enforcement order that we have. I do have a copy of.
Yeah, I thought we already talked about the stairs as being minor.
But I'm not sure that we got confirmation that the commission members were okay
Fair enough.
with this plan.
Fair enough. Let's pass it around. So what Mr. Moran wants to do, he's already got approval to put in this turf stone, which is the latticed concrete where you put the gravel or grass in between. And for safety issues and for being able to walk more easily, he'd like to put in some 20 granite steps on the south side of the turf stone. And does the commission have any problems with that? Can it be considered a minor field change to the approval, or does he need to do anything more formal
Well,
than
I think
this?
first, let's get the engineer to look at it before we start adding components to it and making it muddying up the waters.
Then we'll put a tack in it and get back to it.
Is there anything else, anybody on the floor have any input? Does anybody on Zoom have input? Okay, thank you.
I have one other thing. The pictures show displacement of the erosion control by the water of the
Yeah.
storm of a few weeks ago. I just want to understand if anything has been done to replace the erosion control and to make it...
Good point, good point. I would,
Commit to that, I will get that done.
yeah, I think the important thing is that to dig out the sediment that's built up behind it, and I guess move it back up the hill so that the erosion controls can work effectively again.
The challenge is I can't get down there now.
Well, then the other thing you could do, and I think we talked about it on site, was you can just keep on building it up.
Yeah.
So, one or the other.
No, I will address it.
Okay.
Commission had it.
Could I just say one more thing before I go? I don't know why the commission doesn't put it back the way it was. There was no problem before when it was all grass.
Okay, but if they put it back there and it doesn't create it doesn't fix the problem.
Well, the water never got down there, and the erosion control from the grass just dissipated, and nice clean water, you know. I mean, the next two houses over got rivers going in from high
I understand what
islands.
you're saying, but back when it was all grass, you didn't have it wasn't as much heavily trafficked as it is now. So,
All that water is reclaimed from plenty of stuff Mr. Goodison did, and I just, it was never a problem until he moved in, Last 4 years, it's just been a hell down there,
I don't think that's either neither nor there at this point.
we're gonna continue with the path that we have. And
No, I understand, I'm just telling you honestly the way it is,
all right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, CIG, 105, 123 Gilboa Street.
Mitchell Roush, project manager for the cubes at Gilboa.
Trevor Ryer, Vice President with Clay Gill.
So, what's the latest?
Yeah, want to know what the update is.
Yeah? What's the update? Where are we?
The site has substantial growth taking place. We went around today, there's some light areas. I'm meeting with my landscaper to add additional seed to those areas that look a little light. We are going to meet with them and install some additional rows of erosion protection, just on the south side primarily. And we have, at this point in time, we have scraped the bottom of the basin. It is down to the native soil, and they plan on doing some additional testing starting tomorrow, probably 1 or 2 days.
So you haven't tested the bottom of the basin for its,
They did test it prior to scraping it. There was no infiltration at that time, so now it's been scraped. They've just been waiting because of the rains for it to dry out. They do feel they'll be able to get in there tomorrow and be able to do 2 or 3 test areas to see what's got to be done. One other part of my update is also meeting with my landscaper. Because of the rains that came over the past week or so, there's been some areas of rutting on some of those slopes, so they are going to throw some soils back in there and start seeding those areas again to try and prevent those from getting larger or eroding further.
And Mr. Chairman, I have some of the pictures of those areas up on the screen. So this is on the south side, like west side of the building. You can see the big slope coming down, and so there's some erosion from the big storm that we had. This is close up, so those ruts are going to get cleaned up, I presume?
Yes.
Yeah. And then looking around onto the parking lot, all the sediment went into the parking lot. And there are catch basins, but the catch basins have the silt sacks in them. And it looks like to me like they work. And not only that, but it appears to me that they were replaced pretty quickly.
We brought in a Bobcat, cleaned up all the large parts of sediment, street sweeper to clean up the fines, and then I had all the silt sacks replaced at that point in time.
One thing I noticed, you can tell which ones were put in originally and which ones were replaced, because the originals were all yellow, and the new ones had a black flap. So
I think that one, that in particular one, we had to cut out a portion of concrete to fix a water leak. So that one also caught some concrete sediment, and that's why it was replaced.
So on that picture there, so those are the engineered silt socks that were identified to be on, and what Mitch referred to earlier is going in, once we go back in and fill in some of the little voids that were created by the recent rain discharge, seed that, and then add additional row or 2 of the silt sock just to help get the next line up so it slows down on any space going further up the hill. But those were installed for the original silt design.
So these were 11 days ago, and there's significant growth to the point where we're almost feeling we're going to have to bring in and cut some of that growth.
that's good. This is the south side of the building. Looking easterly. This is the road coming down from southeast Main Street.
Had that been seeded and mowed?
As of today, that's pretty green, sir.
This is what the pond looked like, the infiltration pond looked like on the 9th. They had already started scarifying the bottom. And the little wetland D, the isolated wetland, at the bottom of the slope here, that's an Uxbridge. And here's the road where the water comes over. I had to come over. And that's it, that's the update.
Is that a washout right there, or what is that?
It kind of looks new to me.
That's where the delay in being able to do all this repair, we continue to get sediment eroding underneath the road, and it's starting to sink. We do need to get in there, remove that road, rebuild all that, and get everything put in place, and that will stop a lot of this issue.
That's where it originally washed out, right?
Yes, sir.
That's right.
And we're prepared to move on that as soon as we can get the approval to do so.
Were the banks to the sedimentation basin reseeded?
Yes. They were reseeded from the bottom wattle up, because as we redo that basin, that's all going to get reshaped throughout there.
My question, Mr. Chairman, to the CRG Clayco team is, where do we stand with Douglas? I'm sorry, not Douglas, Uxbridge.
I know what you were saying.
Yeah, you know what I meant. I was wondering, why isn't anybody answering? Oh, wait a minute.
What is the outcome of the meetings been with Uxbridge?
Straight up, last meeting we had, they were all set to go, but then they wanted to have the restoration plan re-peer reviewed, which Haley Ward was not able to get to in the 2-week time frame. and they wanted the outfall structure staked, and that was taken care of.
So what is Clayco allowed to do per Uxbridge at this point?
We were allowed to do everything within the basin up to back a curb of road.
Okay, so you, Clayco can scarify out the pond, do the infiltration testing, can prepare the basin itself, get it stable. That sound right?
Yeah.
We can rebuild the whole thing and get it ready to go. We can actually put in the underdrain and the intake storm structure and everything up to back of curb.
That sounds great.
What I'd like to be able to do is be able to cut at least a 3-foot wide swath across that road and be able to run that underdrain under the road and patch it back. That doesn't touch that embankment on the far side. That just gets under the road.
Will Uxbridge allow that under their current?
Unknown at this time.
Unknown at this time.
So we have to at least let them know what's going on.
Okay, when you say let them know what's going on, does that mean you just tell
Get a
them?
hold of Emily, okay?
Yep.
And tell her what the plan is, see
Yep.
if they have any problem with it.
Okay, and if they don't have any problem with it, would you just allow me to tell the Clayco team to execute?
I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I do, because I want to know what is the plan moving forward for the detention basin and an outfall structure for the detention basin. The driveway, is it getting raised? Is it not getting raised? Are we increasing the volume? Are we getting infiltration?
That was in the restoration plan by Fields Associates, right? Am I wrong?
No, that is correct.
Okay.
So originally, the original approved design did not have the overflow structure and system,
A piped overflow system.
which it does not follow the BMPs. So the new redesign has that outflow structure designed in it, or overflow structure designed in it.
Right. And Mr. Maury did explain this to the commission some, months ago, and he explained it recently at the Uxbridge Conservation Commission, and the Uxbridge Conservation Commission, because I was at the meeting, did not require any further peer review of the engineering of it, because Douglas has already had Haley Ward look at it extensively and okay it. I think one thing that is remaining is that it would be good to have a letter from Haley Ward to say that they're done with their peer review of the new overflow structure that's going to get constructed, so that Uxbridge can feel comfortable enough to move forward and give approval. So this whole thing can just get done.
I'm sorry, I must be missing something, because I've seen the peer review and the recommendations were made for an outfall structure and things like that, but I have not seen a redesign to show what changes were made to the plan and what is moving forward, what work is being done moving forward. Is that, we've received something?
Yes, we did. I suppose it's already in it is in the NOI to Uxbridge right now, all that.
I think it was March.
We don't get a copy of the NOI to Uxbridge.
I don't believe that we did.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes.
I just wanted to add that Haley Ward did revise their work program to review the revised plan. We've submitted that to Clayco about 3 weeks ago. We're yet to receive payment to get Haley Ward activated to review the revised plan. We need to receive payment from Clayco in order to get them started on it.
Right.
Okay.
It's being processed. I saw Mr. Bonight's email this morning. I followed up with my accountant. It's being processed. Because the amount is over a certain amount, it goes through a couple other reviews before it's issued.
Okay, so it's at a stalemate until they get it.
Understood.
Get done. Okay. meantime, can we get a copy of paperwork for Mark so he can review it?
Absolutely. I would also like to address the tickets that are being issued and the fact that Mr. Roush has been responding as things get done to the 12 conditions that are in non-compliance. My office is writing 12 tickets a day, which is a lot of work. I honestly wouldn't mind taking some of these off of the table, but it needs your approval. Would you mind if we went over some of those conditions to see if you are okay with lifting some of those tickets or not?
No, I have no objection.
I have no objection.
Yeah, I think it's only fair because we are finding them $2,400 a day.
If these issues have been cleared up and satisfied, then yeah.
Yeah, well, how about we go?
Some have, sure, I'm sure, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to bring some of them up. Up on the screen.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to state, if I may, sir,
Yes.
that we have not received any of the payments for any of the fines levied against Clayco to date.
Okay.
Just want that to be on the record.
Who's handling the fines on that? Who's
They-
handling?
I've turned them over to my accounting team, they've put them together. I don't have an update on that one right now. I did stop in and talk with Matt a few weeks ago, let him know that because there's so much that it may take a little bit longer to get it. I don't know if he spoke with you, and there was no agreement, but there was an understanding that it may take longer to get those payments in.
Okay.
Because we issue a check per day, not a whole lump sum amount. So we had 13 days in there, so there's 13 separate checks that have to be processed.
Wait a minute, are you saying you've only received 13 days' worth of fines?
The stack you gave me last time I was here, that was it.
The first stack that's sent to the office in Pennsylvania by certified mail.
Understood. I don't have those.
Can you get in touch with that office?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I will say that the last ticket written and issued for this was April 30th, at which point we ran out of tickets. Jen Kuchar ordered more tickets, ticket books, because we were completely out of ticket books. And Matt can correct me if I'm wrong, but we still don't have them in yet.
Correct.
Okay, so here's the conundrum. By law, you have to issue the tickets within 15 days of the date of violation, or else it becomes moot, right? So,
Business days.
business, no, just days,
Okay.
just 15 days, right? So we've got, so that was starting on May 1st, so that would be to May 15th, and now it's the 20th, so we have May 1st through, 5th, that are now moot. So until we can get more tickets in, the 1st through the 5th, and tomorrow, as of tomorrow, the May 6th will be moved. Okay, so I mean, it's just a logistics problem, there's nothing we can do about it. Just got to wait for the tickets to come in so we can write some more.
The tickets that have been issued to date are from April 1st to April 30th, is that my understanding?
Correct, so they've got a full month worth of tickets. It's just from May 1st that we ran out, and we haven't issued from May 1st on. We will resume as soon as we get more tickets in.
What's the magic of this ticket? That we couldn't just create our own form?
Aren't they old school?
Yeah, we have to use
That
a...
it takes 2 weeks to get them?
Yeah, I don't know why.
3
why-
weeks.
I don't know why, but we have to use a form that's in compliance with Section 21D, non-criminal disposition, and those are the civil tickets that we get. They kind of like, moving violation tickets, you see the cops write out. It's just, it's in the ticket book and everything, and I don't see us doing it any other way, or even the court accepting it.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. And so I'd like to go through the conditions, see if any of them can be taken off the list. If some of them can, that's great, but my recommendation in the end is going to be, don't take them off the list until you receive payment, as a carrot, as an incentive. So, anyway.
Why we're reviewing that?
That's, you know, I guess that's a point.
Till the,
Well, and, you know, if they're paying these tickets one day at a time, as was just explained to us, it's going to be 15 days for them to pay, or 30 days for them to pay all the tickets they've received so far.
Is that true?
The check should be ready.
They'll just be separate checks.
They're just separate checks.
They can
They're
all-
not paid, they're not paid per day. You gave me a stack of 13, so there'll be 13 checks for those days.
Okay. But there'll be 13 checks in the mail all at once.
Yes.
That's what I'm getting,
Yes.
right?
minus the first batch that you sent somewhere, which nobody knows.
Right, I sent them to the CRG office and
We'll track them down.
thank you. Okay. I don't know, your call, you want to go through them or not?
Well, at some point, they're done, so they need to be identified as being completed. So I don't see any reason why we wouldn't want to do that. Go through it and determine that they're done.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So the first condition I identified as not being in compliance was special condition number 6, which reads as follows. In addition to Form 5 General Condition 14, any proposed or executed change in the plans approved under this order, if within the jurisdiction of the Douglas Conservation Commission, shall require the applicant to inquire the commission in writing whether the change is substantial enough to require new or amended filing. Prior to consideration of any such requests, the DCC may require the applicant to have the originally approved flagging reestablished. The applicant shall be required to submit the modification request in writing along with all necessary forms and supporting documents in a timely manner to the DCC's consideration.
Is that done?
Well, what this said is, when they didn't follow the plan like they were supposed to, they should have filed an amendment. They should have asked for specific permission. For example, one of the things that was supposed to be done is in the fall, if the grass wasn't growing, the ground wasn't stable, they were supposed to put in erosion control blankets or somehow seed, and that didn't get done, which I believe, and tell me if you disagree, that the erosion of the loam eventually going into the infiltration pond contributed, right? So if they wanted to not do that, then they should have been requested. Then subsection A, the DCC may require any significant plan modification request to be peer reviewed, in which case the applicant shall submit the necessary funds to the DCC for such consultant services.
Which that hasn't been done.
Partially, I think what it is, and Matt, if he's on, he can correct me, a portion of that has been done, but there's more and it needs to be finished up and more funds are required.
Yes.
Okay. Subsection B, the commission shall also review the request and decide if an amended order of conditions is required. As stated, any change that requires modification of approved plans within jurisdictional areas or changes to the erosion control plan or to the stormwater management system may require an amended order of conditions unless the commission decides otherwise at its regularly posted public meeting. If the DCC decides that a change is of significant magnitude to warrant imposition of additional conditions to ensure adequate protection of the resource areas and/or interests of the Act, a public hearing shall be required. So I think the key part of this is changes to erosion control plan of the stormwater management system. I don't think that got done. Subsection C, any request for modification or amendment of the order shall not be considered or reviewed if the order has expired or if there's an outstanding enforcement order on the subject parcel, except as DCC may allow, otherwise explicitly allow. So there is an enforcement order. So, and an amendment was never requested anyway.
Was that a timing component for 6? I mean, there was things in place and the storm hit while we were in the process of getting it seeded and...
Yes, but I understand where they're coming from on this, but the one thing that there's funds due, but at the time of the issuance of the fines, we had met that obligation. The second review came up after that enforcement.
I see what you're saying. I mean, the question is that these fines started in the beginning of April, right? So in December, there was no peer review going on, right?
Peer review was a result of the occurrence of this
Correct.
storm events, correct?
Correct, which I believe that whole process started in early January.
The occurrences happened the 11th and 18th, I believe, of December.
You're
Yeah,
talking peer review.
the peer review.
is
Right.
January, February timeframe.
Correct.
And that's where I was saying that first set of fees for the peer review had been satisfied, and then after this came out again, there was a second peer review. So there's a...
Right. All right, let me get through this whole section here. And then I can read your response, too. Yeah. Subsection D, any changes to the proposed plans to be installed in the buffer zone shall be native. Can you all see? Any changes proposed to the plans to be installed in the buffer zone shall be native, any proposed plants to be installed in the buffer zone shall be native to New England region and not listed in the Massachusetts prohibited plant list or USDA invasive plants database at the time of planting, at least 1 week prior to the pre-construction meeting. A final list of all plants shall be submitted to the DCC for its review. The landscape O&M plan shall be revised to include modifications to the plant list. Okay, so here is the response. I don't believe there were any changes that were in the original jurisdiction of the commission. We altered the grading to gain additional material volume, but that was in areas outside of the commission's jurisdiction, i.e. buffer zones, resource areas, etc. Okay. So where do we want to go with this? I think that the overarching theme here is that because the plan wasn't followed, there should have been a request for an amendment or at least a request for a minor field change, which was never done, and then we had the storm, and then it all went south. You know, by the time the storm happened, it was the middle of December. It was too late to plant, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so erosion control blanket should have gone down, and none of that happened. So what do you think?
I'd just like to, I'm not going to disagree with what Brandon just said. The weekend or the week of the first storm of December 11th was the week they were coming into place. They were actually going to spray regardless of the season, and they were going to put down erosion control blankets. That storm prohibited them from being able to do that. There were some small storms throughout the week and everything. They were not able to come in and do that, and then the storms of the 18th and 19th happened. So at that point, I missed the opportunity. I'm going to say that. But there was times where I was prohibited from being able to do what I needed to do.
Due to weather.
Yes.
Site conditions.
Yes.
So we had every intent to go in there and perform the work as was originally designed, but it was the timing of weather conditions that prohibited us from doing that.
Yes.
Well, yes and no. It was your schedule that had you spreading topsoil at that late part of the year, that latter part of the year. So, you know, many projects don't even try to spread topsoil and plant in December in New England because they know there's no possibility of it germinating. So, you Your schedule led to the erosion, in my opinion.
I do believe that there was additional impact from delays associated with National Grid that pushed our schedule back further. So our intent was to get that done sooner in the season, but there was some delay with National Grid coming from Main Street down our access road that prohibited us from getting, because it's under, the conduit for National Grid is underneath that road, and we didn't get it, the design, and had it installed that pushed the schedule back a little further. So our optimism was that we were still pushing to get it done as quickly in the fall as we could, and it just, the weather in late November, December got the better of us, and then we got the storm on the 11th and 18th.
Yeah, but you say that like, you had to wait to do the whole site because a portion of the site wasn't available to you. But that's typically not the case. Sometimes you have to do the site in portions to be able to, get it done in the right time frame, in the right period. So
The majority of the site was stable with growth. Gone back and looked at all the history, and it was those storms that actually damaged the entire site. So I don't want to offend, but to say that it wasn't stable is incorrect, because the site was. And it's up to those storms.
The retention basin was.
The retention basin, again, was caused by the public utility, National Grid, where their conduits run underneath that basin. And because of their timing, there was other aspects that we had to do, and we did come in late to install everything and to shape that pond. But yes, we were going to shape the pond. We had it planned out to have the erosion blankets on there, and we even had it planned out, and I understand that there is no growth in December, but we even had it so that in the spring, there's at least some seed on there to take, whether it's a rye mix of some sort underneath there, that it would start taking and germinating.
Right, but I would think that where you couldn't seed the bankings and stuff, you would at least put the blankets on there, and that never got done. We were going by meeting by meeting by meeting. We're asking when you're going to stabilize the basin afterwards. It's already formed, and it wasn't getting done. It was just sitting there like it was being ignored. So for me to look at it and say, okay, well, it wasn't your fault, it was National Grid's, whatever the case may be. If you were going into the winter, knowing that you're not going to be able to do it, then you should have stabilized those bankings with blankets or something. Okay, and that wasn't done, and it just led to more and more problems as we went down the road. So, I mean, that's all I look at it.
So is number 6 staying on or coming off?
I would say it stays on.
stays on.
Mike?
Stays on.
Okay. Next is condition 9, wetland flagging. Wetland flags shall be checked and replaced as necessary and maintained in good condition with readable labeling until certificate of compliance is issued for the project or any earlier period as the DCC or DC's agents may authorize. I can confirm, I don't even need Mitch for this, I can confirm that they did this. The question is, when did it get done again, Mitch?
It was, I got confirmation it was completed by that May 9th letter that I sent you.
Yeah.
This had, in all technicality, and I wish Todd was here, those flags were never gone. They were just hidden by waters. And I know that's probably improper, but that's the information I got from Todd. And like I said, if he were here, he would explain that. But the confirmation is May 9th, when I sent that letter, that I got the response that they were.
My recommendation to you all is that this one gets taken off, I think retroactive to May 1st, which means that there won't be any more tickets for this one, because it's now done. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I approve.
Thank you.
Mike?
Okay.
Okay. Number 10, erosion controls. I should say special condition 10, erosion controls. Prior to the pre-construction meeting and commencement of any activity on the site, all erosion control devices approved under this order shall be properly installed as shown on the approved plan and specified in the construction sequence plan. See special condition 8. The DCC and/or its agent shall inspect and approve such installation at the pre-construction meeting. The erosion control devices must remain in place and functioning until the DCC or its agent has authorized their removal. All workers must be instructed not to work beyond this limit. And the response is, meeting was conducted, erosion control plan was reviewed and approved. Erosion control measures per plan have been reestablished per the construction documents by 4/19/24. So what do you think? That one.
Were they done?
Well, they did put in a lot of straw wattles. We still had problems with erosion, as you just saw from my pictures, so there's still some ongoing issues. They just need to continue to upkeep them, upgrade, bring the sediment back up the hill, put down more.
So it's not really stabilized.
Yes, it's a continuing issue.
But it is.
I mean, it is better.
Per the approved plan, it's all in. We're asking for additional now at this point, which I can do, but according to the approved plan, what's in it is what's there.
So you have all the erosion controls in that were specified on the original approved site plan, is what you're saying, and therefore you fulfilled that requirement?
Other than silt socks, anywhere where there is asphalt and building, those are not in. But everywhere that does not have anything of a solid nature like that is in per the plan, if not additional.
So the last part of that condition is the erosion control devices must remain in place and functioning until the DCC or its agent has authorized their removal. So the question to Mitch is, are they functioning? As in like 100% holding the sediment back and there's no sediment going down the hill, wherever it may be.
My statement's going to be before each section, yes. Now, where there is problem on that south hill, that could be from below it, where there is some sediment. And we discussed today that we're going to go back and put in additional measures beyond what was previously approved. So to answer your question, up till tomorrow or Wednesday when we do get them in, no. But do I believe what is in place is doing what it should? Yes, but I am not my inspectors come out, they see no issues with what's going on. If they do, they report it. We do address it. But the things that are in place, I believe they're doing what they should.
I don't want to say this, but the way I read this, I think they've met what it reads here, because it's basically saying, in my opinion, are the erosion controls that were shown as part of the plan installed? Yes, they were all installed in accordance with the plan. It doesn't say here that they have to be adequate. And I'm not, I'm not so sure.
Well, it does read that they have to remain in place and functioning.
And functioning, yeah, but those that are there have been repaired and are functioning, I would say.
Okay.
I don't think it was adequate at times, like just what you talked about in terms of the seating and needing to have blanket put down. Is that blanket part, it wasn't part of the initial review of the erosion control.
Okay.
It's something that becomes necessary, but it's not, wasn't something that had to be part of the original, no, it was part of the original plan. Am I saying that? Or if I'm saying, making any sense?
It makes sense.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to add, according to the SWIP report from Ariella Leclerc, she notes that the erosion and sediment controls are operating properly throughout the site. So we do have written documentation from their SWIP reporter to say the E&S are operating as designed.
And this is the most recent SWIP report?
Yes. Yes, from Saturday.
From Saturday, okay.
Then I would say take it off.
Yeah.
as of today or retroactive to a previous date?
today.
As of today, okay, so remove as of 5/20. So remove as of 5/20. So that one is now done. Number 17, accepted engineering and best management practice for construction standards shall be followed in the conduct of all work. All site improvements shall be installed as per approved plans and engineering details shown on them. Any modifications or deviation from the approved plan shall only be made upon approval from the DCC or with respect to minor deviations by the DCC's agent. Response: I believe during the full course of construction, BMPs were followed in the conduct of all work. All site improvements were installed in accordance with the approved plans. No major or significant modifications or deviations from approved plans were made.
Can I ask you to,
Oh, so you bet. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. There we go. So we're on number 17.
right,
So here's where I feel like they have not met this, is because of the best management practices identification. And that's where the straw mulch and the blanket comes into play, is now we have to address a situation, bad situation, and that wasn't getting done. So this is one that I don't feel we should remove. Because we're continuing to have situations.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with Mark.
Yeah, because they're still waiting on payment too for peer review, right?
We are, I don't know how much peer review comes into this one, though.
Oh, okay. No, I agree.
Okay, so I'm going to keep that one.
Mike? Agree? 17 stays?
He's good. Special condition 21. If required, dewatering activities shall be monitored daily to ensure that sediment-laden water is appropriately settled prior to discharge toward the wetland resource areas. No discharge of water is allowed directly into an area subject to jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act and Douglas Wetland Bylaw. If emergency dewatering requirements arise, the applicant shall submit a contingency plan to the Commission for approval, which provides for the pump water to be contained in a settling basin to reduce turbidity prior to discharge into a resource area. Such plan shall show the location of sedimentation basins to entrap any soils that may be eroded during construction. 21 response: no actual dewatering has taken place. The water that is being pumped is being infiltrated and not directed towards areas under jurisdiction of the Commission. So when I read this one originally, my thought process was, it had to do with that, mostly with that second sentence. No discharge of water is allowed directly into an area subject to jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act and Douglas Wetland Bylaw. So it all went down the hill into the isolated wetland and into the isolated land subject to flooding in Uxbridge. So I think that's where things went off the rails right there. So that was my thought process mostly on this one. It's like, it happened, that's the big problem. Tell me if I'm crazy.
No, I mean, I'm looking at all the sediment that's in there, and I don't think it's been,
have you not received a copy of the wetland scientist report for that area?
That just came out very, very recently.
Came out last Thursday.
Last Thursday, okay, so it's still fairly recently, like 3 business days ago, saying that the ILSL, no significant harm happened to it, saying that there's been no loss of function of the ILSF despite the sedimentation. This is the big one further in back, and then we got the small isolated
small one
one.
right there at the bottom.
What's that?
Small one right at the bottom.
That one got obliterated as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
I can wipe right out, and it's still muddy.
Yeah.
So is that a one-time occurrence, or is this a recurring
I think it's a recurring. I think that it happened again on this storm. I got the pictures from 5/9. I showed it. It was muddy all over again.
At the area where the...
But that's because I'm not allowed to get down there and plant and protect that area per Uxbridge. So what it's hitting is that area of sedimentation that was cleaned up. It's hitting that area, and that's washing it down into there. That isn't coming from over the road. That isn't coming from the basin. That is natural rainfall hitting that dirt area that I'm not allowed to go fix yet.
Right, but you got something that's undermining the road right now, because you said earlier that it's washing out, you want to cut it out and open it. So how do you know that water's not, that's not what's washing it down there?
Because I have 2 rows of silt fence, as well as, I want to say, over a foot of riprap going down that hill. Not to mention that whole area that washed out was rebuilt with over 18 tons of stone, and there is no dirt underneath there.
Between the back of the curb and down to the...
That area that washed out when we rebuilt that was all rebuilt with stone. And at the bottom of that stone is a row of silt fence, and 3 feet beyond that is a second row of silt fence. But then there's about a 15-foot, 20-foot area that I'm required to go replant that I can't. And that's where that sediment getting down into there is coming from.
Okay. On the bottom of that there, I was over there a while back, and I was looking at it after it was all rebuilt. You had water coming out of the basin. Do you know where that water's coming from?
Coming out of the basin.
At the stone, where the bottom of the stone where that washed out, there was water that was actually flowing there. Do you know where that water's coming from?
Towards the base of the hill, on the Uxbridge side, it's water's weeping out. It was weeping out.
The only thing I can assume is that any water that's getting down into those rocks is what's coming out from underneath there.
It's quite a bit
I
water.
can have somebody look at that further and give you a better determination.
Yeah.
But again, there's over 18 tons of stone.
I understand that, but there was water that's, I observed water coming out of it at the base of that slope that you repaired.
Yes.
Water was coming out steady. It wasn't just trickling. It was steady water coming out of it.
Okay.
I'm
And
saying, where's that water coming from?
I can have somebody look at that. I also review the reports that come out from SWCA every time, and she, on all her reports, reviews everything going on down there. So I don't think she's ever placed anything of alarm where I needed to, but if you're seeing something, I'm more than happy to get somebody back in there and take a look and give you a better answer of where that's coming from.
But the storm structure that was in that washout area along the east curb line, that was repaired and filled back in as a part of that,
It
correct?
was removed, it was, a brand-new one was put in place, and that's where we used stone to stabilize everything back underneath there, the duct bank, the lighting, and that storm structure, all that stone instead of dirt.
And the only reason I bring that up is just that could have been a contributing area, but that's been fixed back to the original
Yes,
design.
yes.
Right, my question is, have we identified where it's coming from? Is it coming out of the basin? Is it coming out of the structure? Is it?
Well, look,
We'll figure that one out and get back to you on that.
What do you say on this one?
I'd like to have a determination on that before I say it's okay.
So keep them now, how can they get themselves out
But
of?
we're not discharging over there, and we don't know where that's coming from. And we've put in control measures to make sure that that basin doesn't get up to there. We pump it every day, anytime there's water in there, keeping it below the rim.
They are doing that. This goes back to December and January when it was going over the top.
No, I understand that, but you still,
But the fines were-
still have an area down the bottom there that's still getting sediment from someplace.
Yeah.
Is it coming from the water that's running from underneath and it's disturbing everything that's there? I don't know. So to say that it's not coming from there, I can't make that determination.
Can you pause it and then just put it back on? I'm just saying, if the reports are, the other person for the review hasn't mentioned anything about it, if you just pause for that.
The initial was over the top. We don't know where it's coming from underneath, but we've addressed the coming over the top. And until I can get the further information from it, I don't quite understand if that's coming from my site or if that's coming from just rain washed through that stone and gravel.
I mean, you just said you've addressed
We have the pump.
issue of the water coming over the top.
I'm sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we have the frac tanks, the pump and everything, that we're filtering clean water out of the basin so that it doesn't come up to the top again until we can get it all rebuilt properly.
Okay. So when you say you addressed it though, how is it being addressed that, so that we can be assured that it will not top off?
The pump,
No, when the pump is all gone, it's 3 years from now and we get a heavy rain, how do we know for sure that the water is not going to the top?
the BMP calls for a under drain and overflow system, and that's being incorporated into the rebuild of the basin.
That's the new information that I believe you were talking about earlier,
It's in-
for the peer review.
Right.
So,
So,
yeah, for the new emergency overflow that's proposed.
yes.
And that's why I made the comment about a pipe structure versus the original design that had it coming up over into the roadway.
Using the road as an overflow. This is an actual overflow to keep it from going
Are
through
you
there.
still testing the soils underneath the basin?
That's going to start,
If they're going to infiltrate or not?
they tested a little over a week ago, and there was very little infiltration at that time. Since then, we've scraped all the sediment from the bottom of the basin, and they're going to come in tomorrow, and they're going to do some additional testing, and then they're going to come in probably Wednesday and do some more. So they're planning on at least 3 days of testing to where we get to a layer that does meet the calculated infiltration. And at that point, then we'll come back in, scrape down to that level, and come and put in the approved mix that goes in the bottom of the basin.
So I'd like
So
to
it's
show
going
you.
back to the original design,
Yes,
other than there is going to be a pipe that
an overflow system, yes.
And where's that pipe outlet?
That pipe outlet is actually on that slope side, going that direction.
It discharges into this riprap, correct?
A little further south, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, here it is on April 22, looking kind of, despite the, the denuded conditions around it, the water itself is actually looking pretty like settled. And then here we go to 5/9, and it's cloudy again. So something is happening. So that's what I wanted to point out to you. No discharge of water is allowed directly into an area subject to protection of the Wetlands Protection Act and Douglas Wetland Bylaw, et cetera, et cetera.
And we can't remove this then, just looking at the photo right there.
So it's ongoing.
It's ongoing.
So, keep-
I just want clarification of where this is coming from, because I have an area that I can't fix. And had I fixed that, been able to fix that area, any sediment in that denuded area or anything that washes off that surface wouldn't be going in there. So I'm actually, what I'm hearing is I'm getting fines from because another town will not allow me to fix that area.
And we've got provisions, if it was coming from our site, we've got the 2 rows of riprap, or 2 rows of silt fence plus the riprap there, correct?
Yes.
That extends out quite a ways either way from that, but
I think that there's discharge at the bottom, like coming out, like you saw, I've seen it too. So I think it's coming even from below the silt fence and discharging, like just popping out of the ground. And I think it's coming from the basin, going, through the ground underneath the road, and then popping out at the bottom of that slope.
And again, I'm
If your road is washing out, okay, something's collapsing, it's taking the dirt out and it's collapsing.
understood.
So,
But I'm going back to the fact that I can't fix the road either. Uxbridge isn't allowing me to fix the road. So I can't get in there and repair any of that, and I'm getting fines for something that another town is prohibiting me from being able to fix. And that's kind of where I'm having the issue.
I'm not going to say Mitch is wrong there.
we've wanted to take the proactive steps to help get this addressed by many means, and we're seemingly handcuffed at the moment.
I'm seeing the commission's position on this. I'm just wanting to get my position out on it, that I'm collecting fines for something that I'm not being allowed to fix, and that's just,
What's holding you up with Uxbridge?
I think Brandon clarified it better than the way I said it, is that there was a confirmation from Haley Ward per their peer review that,
They're done with the engineering portion of the peer review.
right,
And then Uxbridge will be satisfied with the engineering portion and what they're proposing to do for the emergency overflow outlet, right? Until then, it's still in notice of intent mode, so they technically don't have approval to do that work yet until they get issued an order of conditions in Uxbridge. Now, the work will take place in Douglas, right, which Douglas already has an order of conditions on, not the emergency overflow portion of it, but that was addressed in the Beals Associates restoration plan, right? So the question is, does the commission feel comfortable letting them move forward, given the engineering design, given the situation with Uxbridge? What's your disposition on that?
Well, is Uxbridge telling them that they can't put a row of silk fence along the edge
Oh, no.
of that area?
No, not at all, not at all.
Okay.
It's just,
Uxbridge not concerned about that because it's not within their
they're not concerned
bylaw?
with it because that particular wetland is not jurisdictional to them.
I understand, that's why I'm. yeah.
Yes, so they're not sweating this detail right here, too bad. They're concerned mostly with the isolated land subject to flooding, which is just beyond this. Because they don't have a bylaw, so therefore isolated vegetated wetlands are not jurisdictional. Still doesn't help the matter, but they're not really sweating this too much.
So we want this protected. They're not too worried about it.
Yeah, you know, when ESC Group did their original peer review of this in 20? What did I say? Matt Byrne, who is a recognized vernal pool expert in Massachusetts, made a point in his report to document that he found 40 spotted salamander egg masses in that right there. So it has value.
Absolutely.
I gotta say, Mitch does kind of have a point here that he would fix it, but he's kind of hand-tied by Uxbridge at the moment.
But it's on our land.
That right there, that is an Uxbridge.
Okay.
But I'm standing on the road that is going to be fixed. That's in Douglas. Like, the town line is somewhere where I'm standing in that body of water.
No, I'll do what Mr. Fitzpatrick is asking. I'll find out where that water's coming from. And if you're asking for another row of some type of sediment protection along there, I'll put it in. I just kind of trying to figure out what to do about these fines that I'm handcuffed.
I'm not going to say he's wrong there.
I'm not going to say that I think that should be removed. I think it should stay in place personally.
I would be okay if we paused it since their hands are tied, but how much longer before Uxbridge gives you the okay? I guess is my question.
You're supposed to have a meeting, what, tomorrow?
No, the meeting was supposed to be tonight, but Haley Ward didn't supply their comments of the,
Because they need their money, I think. It's mostly the reason.
at this point in time, I don't know whose money's going where at this point in time. But next meeting, it was continued till next, which is the 3rd, same as,
They meet the same night as we do.
I would be okay pausing until the 3rd for the fine. because then hopefully payment would be reached. You can get the clear and okay.
So starting today, retroactive to any certain date?
I'd be okay with it for today,
From today until June 3rd.
till June 3rd.
Pause, okay?
To pause.
So we got one to keep, one to pause.
Mike? You okay? Do you think it should be?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
May I just add, with regards to pausing the fee on this one, I'd almost, because their hands are tied with Uxbridge, and I do sympathize with that, and I agree with Mr. Foran's recommendation to pause these fines, I'd almost make this one proactive to May 1, when our ticket books can't even issue anyway.
Okay, so you're saying pause it till May 1st?
No, June 3rd. From May 1st to June 3rd, is that's what Matt said.
Well, because we don't have to take a books anyway, so that's fine. I'd be okay with that, to pause it.
This is your call, I doesn't have it.
What's your input, Mike?
Do you, on this, Mike, on this particular one, the question is, should the fines be paused? It would be paused to June 3rd. Mark is not for it. Jim is okay with it. Haven't heard from the chair yet. What do you think? Okay. You're okay with what, pausing or keeping them? Keeping them. Okay, so we got 2 for keeping them, 1. So you've already got a fail because even if Joe, you know what? I'm going to shut up and let you talk.
I don't think we should pause it. I think we should keep it until we find out what's going on.
Okay. So that one's getting kicked.
Before we get off that one, I just want to confirm, you would like an extra row of some type of...
Yeah, anything we can do to
Yes.
protect it.
I just wanted to be... Got it.
That would be great. Okay, special condition number 23. At no time during or after construction shall fill or other materials be placed or intentionally allowed.
Brandon? Sorry.
You know, you're right. You're right. Okay. Let me, back up. So we're on
23.
23, at no time during or after construction shall fill or other materials be placed or intentionally allowed to slump into or fall beyond the limit of work as shown on the plan. The environmental monitor shall include inspection of slopes and weekly inspection, and shall notify the commission if slumping, erosion, or encroachment occurs. 23, response, I don't think there is any material in the buffer zone.
That was a response from Beals Associates.
Beals Associates, okay. So I think that fill or other materials were allowed to slump into or fall beyond the limit of work. I think that's pretty clear.
That is pretty clear.
Tell me if I'm crazy. So this happened, I got that picture from May 9th, showed the water getting pretty cloudy again. What do you think? Keep her, remove?
Well,
Keep.
if you May 9th, well, you're saying we don't know where it's coming from. So we don't know if the problem's been really solved or not.
Would agree.
But I'm going to go back to, my erosion measures are in place, if not beyond that, and sitting here tonight, I've been asked to go back in and put in additional to try and help prevent that. So had I known that back then, that probably could have been in and prevented whatever is potentially getting in there.
I don't know about that. I think that the
What to say?
Intention here is that regardless of erosion controls, it wasn't allowed to go beyond the approved limit of work whatsoever. Erosion controls are not. It's good that they're in place now to help mitigate for any further sedimentation, but it shouldn't be going beyond the approved. Water and erosion sedimentation should not be going beyond the approved limit of work at all in any shape, way, or form, and that's not what I'm seeing.
But again, it goes back to I'm not allowed to do work down there to help prevent that.
But you were allowed to, if you had sediment going in there, you were allowed to put down fences and stuff down there if you wanted to, right?
I have fences down there.
He does, and he's going to put, he's just said he's going to put in some more. I think the point is that the sediment shouldn't never went.
But it would have been already been addressed. It would already had growth, plants, everything in there to help any of that.
If we were able to
If I was able to get in there.
But we're not really sure where the sediment's coming from, so that's the other thing. You're assuming that it's washed out from the area you cleaned up. And I'm looking at it saying it might be further up, it might be coming from something washed out where the road is. So we're not really sure what's going on with it.
The same situation applies there too, right?
And
You
again,
can't
I'm
do the
willing to
road.
go back in and try and find all this. But I'm going to go back to the fact that I'm restricted from doing work there, which is going to make it even more difficult for me to find where this is coming from.
Is the holdup in Uxbridge that they haven't been paid for the peer review, or is that the case, or what?
No, that's not the full case.
So what's holding up the Uxbridge decision again?
They want confirmation from Haley Ward
Yeah.
that they're done with the peer review. Haley Ward has a work program to be able to do that. They haven't been paid for it. So they're not going to release that letter until they
But
get paid
I
to do
didn't get
so.
the bill until a week after that was told that I needed to do that. So this isn't coming out of my account. I don't have an open checkbook at Clayco. It doesn't, I can't just sit and write a check and get it back to them within a day. There's a process. It's not that I'm not willing to pay it, and I've got the measures in place and taking care of it. It just, there's a process to get it done.
I understand that, but there's also a process for what we ask to be done, or they ask to be done. And I think you guys are well aware that somebody had to pay for it, and they get the results, and they're saying, we'll give them to you as long as you get paid for it.
And I'm not denying that I'm paying it.
It's back on your ballpark. It's like, when they get paid, they'll release it.
Then get me the invoice that night. That's the thing. If you're going to ask for that, get me the invoice that night. That gives me 10 full days to be able to do it instead of 7 or 5 days to do it. And then it passes that date. So it's not just me. I'm doing everything I can, but I need some cooperation from their board or whoever's sending me an invoice to be able to process all this in the timely manner that they expect. Now, Matt, I'm going to sit here and say I don't know what the holdup is with the one getting back to you. I've been working with that one today, but I'm not getting these invoices in a timely manner to be able to turn them around that way. I understand I can sit here and say I'm addressing these as much as possible, but when you don't have it, it's hard to see that.
No, but
And I'm asking for a little bit of leniency in the fact that I'm trying and working at getting it there. And I can't, I can only ask for that.
I understand that, but I mean, I'm also hearing that we had tickets that we gave you, and those aren't impressed, so, I mean, that's what I'm looking at. It's like, okay, I understand that it's going through different departments and people have to sign off, but at the end of the day, these guys did the work. They say, well, okay, give it to us and we'll give you the results. I mean, we take the fines off it, then what? We don't don't know what the results are either. So, that's my 2 cents.
All right, so keep or remove?
Well, the history for me is that, certainly fill and other materials were allowed to leave the site, and so therefore I feel it's a keep.
Keep.
Mike?
Should we keep this one, or should we remove it from the list? So we got 4 for keep, so 23 is going to be a keep. All right, special condition 24. To the extent practicable, site grading and construction in the buffer zone shall move uninterrupted to completion to avoid erosion and sedimentation to the wetlands. And the response is, I don't think there's any material in the buffer zone. So there was definitely, erosion and sedimentation in the wetlands.
Again, response was from Beals, so understood.
Yeah. Keep or remove?
I think this pretty much follows point 3.
I'll put that one down as a keep unless somebody wants to stop me from going on to the next one.
Nope.
All right. Special condition 25, bare ground in the buffer zone that is not being actively worked and cannot be permanently stabilized within 30 days shall be stabilized by temporary cover of rye or other grass following U.S. Natural Resource Conservation Service procedures to prevent erosion and sediment transport. If the season is not appropriate for plant growth, exposed surfaces shall be stabilized by straw, jute netting, or other NRCS approved best management practices. Any stabilization materials such as jute netting shall be firmly anchored to prevent them from being washed from slopes by rain, snow melt, or flooding. And I think it's pretty clear that that did not occur. The response is, to my knowledge, there's no bare ground in the buffer zone. I think you can say that today. They have either covered it with riprap, or it is covered with hydroseed that is growing, or there are erosion control blankets on the ground. So I think that as of today, it's doing pretty good. But historically, since last fall, not so much, which led to the whole issue. So, they have. You're right. I agree. There's really no bare ground. They have the issues on the slopes. I showed you the photos from May 9. Mitch attests that there is more grass growing now, and they're going to be working to put the sediment back. So that might be a little bit of background, but overall, I think they've done their job. The question is the commission satisfied?
I'm satisfied with it. They made a significant improvement.
I agree.
Mark? Must have picked them up. Thank you.
Well, I mean, there is bare ground as evidenced by the May 9th photos. And there's bare ground, what I would call, in the buffer zone. So I'm not willing to say that that's been met.
So we have 4 removing, 1 against. Mike, should we keep the fine for there being bare ground in the buffer zone, or should we remove it from the fine list? So, what do you think? Remove it. So good. 3 for remove. 3 for remove, 1 to keep, so that's going to be a remove. So 25 is removed. Okay. 26. After a particular area has been brought to finished grade, that area shall be stabilized permanently against erosion. Achievement of stabilization is considered to be when the surface shows complete vegetation cover as prescribed in the approved landscape plan. This shall be measured by at least 70% coverage by established vegetation. The 26 response is, all areas have been hydroseeded and protected against erosion. Monitoring of all areas shall remain in place and corrective actions taken as necessary, or up to 70% coverage by established vegetation. That's dated 4/22/24. All right, so it's true. The whole site has been hydroseeded or has erosion control blanket with seeds starting to come up underneath it. Can I say that it's 70% at the moment? And, that was 4/22. My pictures from May 9, I don't think quite show it. What's it look like today, Mitch?
I'm going to sit back and say that there are areas where there's heavy growth, and there's some areas that are a little thinner. So I can't, if you're asking me, I'm going to sit there and say, yeah, it's 70%. I have to leave that up to the commission's judgment.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite there yet. I think that by June 3rd, you'll be able to take this one off.
I agree.
Okay, so keep for now. Tell me if I'm
Yeah.
good. So keep. So with hopes
For June 3rd.
to remove by 6/3. All right. Special condition 27. Subsequent to seeding, disturbed areas will be covered with salt hay mulch, erosion control blanket or netting or other suitable material in order to provide adequate surface protection until seed germination. Preference should be given to erosion control netting with biodegradable stitching. Netting shall be required on all slopes steeper than 3:1 unless the slope is designated on the approved plans to be covered by other material. 27, the response is in progress. I think that it's all been done. I think this one is complete. They have, at the time that the fines were issued, they were not. But since between that time and now, it has been done. When do you think a date on that was, Mitch, when you finally got all of the blankets down and all that?
If you go to the response to 26, and I have germination starting by 5/7, when I can sit there and say that I've got growth, that also means I've got the other measures in place also. So that would be my answer.
Were you going to say something, Matt?
I'm sorry, I was just asking about the last vote. Was that fines removed as of May 1? I'm sorry, I missed that.
You talking about for number 26?
Yeah, I apologize.
No, it's being capped with hopes to be able to remove it by the next meeting on June 3. So we
Fines
figured,
remain hold until next meeting on June 3, starting today.
No, they're going to stay in place, Matt, until June 3rd.
yeah, they're just going to stay in place until June 3rd.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
Well, and not definitively June 3rd, but in hopes that by June 3rd, we can say, yes, we have at least 70% coverage.
Understood, sorry, thank you.
No problem. My observations on 27 is that,
The only thing I'm looking at, some of my reserves, like the pictures earlier showing stuff all over the place, so is the disturbed area really protected for the erosion control? We had sediment in the parking lot, right?
yep,
And we had a couple areas that were showing it was washed out,
yep.
so.
As of the report from SWCA last Saturday, everything was stable and everything was clean.
Yeah, remember, that picture I have is on May 9th, it's now the 20th, so. Now, we don't have 70% coverage, but I think that they technically have,
By you beyond.
yeah, I think that technically they've put down the erosion control, netting, everything that they were supposed to do. The efficacy of it is one thing, but the fact that they did it is, I think that's really what this condition is saying, that you just have to put it up. Now, since, when the fines started getting issued beginning of April, they weren't. But now I think they're up. Now, you could say, well, they're not working 100%. Yeah, I'd say that there's been some...
When did the report come out, last Saturday?
Say again, sir?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Came out last
No,
Thursday.
I thought they came out,
The SWC
I got them today, but I thought their inspections were on Saturday, I believe.
was on Saturday, okay. So I think this one is kind of similar to what, to number 10.
So why don't we remove the fines as of Saturday?
As of Saturday, so that would have been, what, the 18th?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just want to state that her report reads that her inspection was from Thursday and Friday, the 16th and 17th.
That's where,
Even though we got the report Saturday, but her site inspection, field inspection was the 17th, Friday.
Okay,
where I get-
so we can move it to the 7th. As of 17th.
Go on with the fines, that would be the date.
Yep,
okay, there's a vote to remove it retroactive to 5/17.
yep.
That's one vote.
No, I would prefer to keep the fines. I don't feel like they've met the obligation here that says that disturbed areas will be covered with salt marsh hay, erosion control blanket, or netting. And then it says, or other suitable material in order to provide adequate surface protection until germination. I saw netting along the sides of the driveway. I didn't see any netting on some of the back slopes or on the banking of the detention basin.
I would say to remove it for now.
Okay, another potentially split vote. It's all up to you, Mike. So we got 3 for remove, 1 to keep, which means remove. Okay, that's 27. Special condition 32. Any permanent infiltration stormwater best management practices used as temporary sedimentation basins during construction shall have all construction period sediments removed and legally disposed prior to completion and use as a permanent infiltration BMP. A professional engineer registered in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts shall provide written confirmation that temporary sedimentation basins have been adequately restored for use as permanent stormwater infiltration BMPs. The response is,
Thank you.
temporary sedimentation basin was cleaned and established back to its original and construction finish. By 12/10/23, permanent, it just says by 12/10/23, permanent stormwater infiltration BMP at the basin is in progress, and that's the response.
So what I meant by that is by 12/10, it was in its fully constructed state.
Yeah.
And we were coming into, even though not time to spray it and blanket it, that's when the storms occurred. Now, this is due, all these fines and everything and is due to what happened in December and January, so I think I needed to, in a sense, I need to reassess what my actual answer there should have been.
Okay, so, as I read this, the infiltration basin one had sediments in it. At the time of the fines, at the time of the enforcement order, it wasn't being maintained like it was supposed to be. And according to this condition, It was supposed to have all construction period sediments removed and legally disposed of, prior to completion and use as a permanent infiltration BMP. Had not been done. So to question to Mitch, has the infiltration bin one been completely scarified of any sediment that went into it as of today? Or is there still more to go?
There's still more to go.
There's still more to go.
So that it stays.
Stays.
Okay, I'm going to move on then. Special condition 33. Erosion control devices shall remain in place and functioning properly until all exposed soils have been stabilized with final vegetative cover and the DCC and a DCC's agent has authorized their removal. Removal of erosion control devices shall be done within 14 days, doesn't say anything, of such authorization. I didn't write it, folks. Response.
I missed a word.
I don't think, that's
You
right.
did write it.
You did right. 33 response. Erosion control plan was reviewed and approved prior to the start of construction, 10/1/2022. Erosion control measures per plan have been reestablished per the construction documents by 4/19/24. Okay, so I think the whole point when the enforcement order was issued and when the fines were issued is that the erosion control devices weren't in place and were not functioning properly. And exposed soils were not stabilized. Okay, so the question is, where are we today?
Well, if you still have areas that are washing off, and I gotta say they're not functioning properly. We're getting sediment into the road, we're getting collapse of the road, we got washouts.
So I guess that's a vote for keep.
I'd like to, the erosion control measures per plans are in place. My reports state that the ones that are in per the plans are functioning properly. The areas where there wasn't any design to go in, that's where the issues are occurring, and I've agreed to go back in and add more to help prevent those. So I guess my question is, are we evaluating what is supposed to be in per plan, or what is in per plan plus extras that are being asked to put in to help prevent stuff?
Well, I think it's the areas that you have, certainly the road is within plan, am I mistaken there?
I can't touch it.
Right, but it's washing out. That's the problem that we have. So the other areas of washing down to the basin, I mean, that's part of the plan to protect those bankings from road washing out, right?
Again, all that erosion in that basin is in per plan.
Talking up further up on the road itself, where we have a washout coming down the hill and you had to clean it out, you had to bring the Bobcat in and sweep it and all that stuff there.
That area, and to be completely honest with you, I'm not sure where that's coming from. The vegetation that is established on that hill, where that washout occurred, that has been there prior to even us starting construction there. So how that occurred, I'm still trying to figure out.
But the verbiage, our erosion control, and we're talking about a couple different areas, but that spot, the erosion control measures are in place for the design.
They're in place, but it says, are they functioning?
Yeah, and functioning properly until all
I'm not
exposed
saying
soils
you
have
don't
been
have them in place,
stabilized.
but they're not functioning to do what they were designed to do, is hold it back from washing out. It's washing out and they're not
Mr.
functioning.
Chairman,
But what I'm,
just want to refer to Ariel's letter from this past Saturday. It reads, erosion and sediment controls are operating properly throughout the site. The operating, I assume, means functioning. That was her letter.
and all I'm stating is that it's all in per plan. She's stating that what's in per plan is functioning properly. What's occurring is an area where nothing was asked to go in per those plans, and I'm saying I'm willing to go in and put that in there for additional protection.
Okay.
I'm not denying that maybe there is some sediment and erosion coming from there, but what is designed is in place and working properly.
Okay.
Okay, keep it removed.
Oh, you got an engineer's report that said it's working properly, and I guess it's removed. Remove.
Mike? Remove. Okay. Okay, last one.
At what date would you like to remove the fine on that?
The same as the previous, May 17th.
May 17th, 5/17.
Okay.
Special condition 40. It is the responsibility of the property owner to maintain the stormwater management system as specified in the stormwater management operation and maintenance to ensure that they function properly. This condition shall exist in perpetuity and shall be recorded as such in the certificate of compliance. On the sale or change of hands of the property, the applicant shall provide the new owner with a copy of the operation and maintenance plan. At each subsequent sale of the property, the then current owner shall provide a copy of the operations maintenance plan to the new owner. A copy of the new owner's acknowledgement of receipt of the operation and maintenance plan shall be sent to the DCC. This condition shall exist in perpetuity and shall be recorded as such in the certificate of compliance. The vast majority of this has not yet happened. It is really the first sentence that is key to the reason why this was put in, and I'll reread it. It is the responsibility of the property owner to maintain the stormwater management system as specified in the stormwater management operation and maintenance plan to ensure that they function properly. At the time the enforcement order was issued and the time that the fines were put in place, I don't think that that was being done. So the question is, or then we have the response. Property has not changed hands from the original purchase and permit. With that being said, the stormwater management operation and maintenance has been in place, and since there's been no further sale or transition of the property, does not apply. Also, since the project is not complete, a recorded certificate of compliance has not been issued. There was never a COC in place to transfer. I agree with all of that, but again, it goes back to that first sentence. It was the applicant's responsibility to maintain that stormwater management system and to ensure that it functioned properly, and that did not happen. So the question is it now being maintained, and is the stormwater management system, with, I think, emphasis on infiltration basin 1, is it functioning properly? I get Mark.
The basin,
The basin. I'm putting an emphasis on basin 1.
but they're still working to clean it, and it's not functioning properly.
I would agree with that. So I got a no.
I vote to keep.
Okay. Jim?
I'd like to, the way I read that is that the owner is responsible to maintain the system after the certificate of compliance has been achieved.
I don't read it that way.
It may be the first sentence, but if you don't have your final and your approval or your certificate of compliance, how do you know what you're supposed to maintain other than what you're supposed to do during construction?
Through the stormwater maintenance and management and operation and maintenance
So
plan.
then you get the O&M at the end, and that's what you're to maintain with the certificate of compliance.
All right, so now we're splitting hairs. There is a construction period O&M. Okay, so I think that it's prefaced that you have to maintain the stormwater management system, period, and that is going to continue through the issuance of the certificate of compliance, at which point you, in perpetuity, have to maintain it and make sure that it functions.
But
That's the way I read it.
But in that first sentence, it actually states stormwater management, operation, and maintenance. And then it gets to the end, it talks to the operation and maintenance plan. So until you actually achieve that and get your certificate of compliance, Where's your basis other than your construction documents and your erosion plan?
Okay, let me get the action.
Yes, Matt?
Mr. Chairman, I'm inclined to agree with the applicant on this one. This one really reads about the operation of the O&M after receipt of certificate of compliance, because that needs to be engaged and acted upon receipt of the certificate of compliance. I'm inclined to agree with the applicant on this.
Okay.
In Mitch's own response, he says the stormwater management operation and maintenance has been in place. So, I'm confused.
I'm not going to disagree that that's what it states, and probably my own terminology, but when we were able to start back in there and start with getting the measures in place, ground thawing and everything, we have been trying to maintain the stormwater plan and the maintenance of that plan. But
So, Mr. Chairman, through site plan review, obviously the O&M plan is part of their submission. And once the project is fully complete, they get their occupancy permit, their O&M plan comes into play. After the certificate of compliance is issued, O&M goes into play. They usually sub out who's going to be doing the O&M once the contractor's done with the job. And that's where it really, I guess, changes hands, I suppose. And that's kind of what this condition is talking about, I believe. I believe that's the intent of this.
That sounds correct. I'm more inclined to agree with that. So I'm fine with removing it.
Jim?
Yeah, you can remove it.
Mike?
I agree with that, too.
Yep. Okay, remove it.
Remove, okay, so here's the final tally.
Remove and post-date fines to May 1.
May 1, is my opinion.
Yep,
Yeah, May 1.
retro to 5. All right, so let me go over them again, just make sure we get this all straight. Special condition 6, keep. Special condition 9, remove, retroactive to May 1. Special condition 10, remove, retroactive to, actually, as of today, 5/20. Special condition 17, keep. Special condition 21, keep, with a note here until we know the source. Special condition 23, keep. Special condition 24, keep. Special condition 25, remove. I don't have a retroactive date on that, which is fairground in the buffer zone that is not being actively worked and cannot be permanently stabilized within 30 days shall be stabilized by temporary cover of rye or other grass per NRCS procedures. If the season's not appropriate for growth, exposed surfaces shall be stabilized by straw, jute netting, other NRCS best approved management practices. So that one's a vote to remove. As of today, as a retroactive to
17.
17th? 17th sound good, everyone?
Yes.
5/17, okay. 26, special condition 26, keep with the hopes to remove by 6/3. That's the 70% rule.
Correct.
Special conditions 27, remove retroactive of May 17. Special condition 32, keep. Special condition 33, remove retroactive to May 17. And special condition 40, remove retroactive to 5/1, which is basically saying you're done. So any of these that said 5/1 are just done.
can I ask one question about the last condition?
Yeah.
Since that technically hasn't applied, should that have been finable from day one?
That's the question.
I would say, seeing how it doesn't apply, no.
So to remove it,
No, should have been fined to start with, seeing how it doesn't really apply until
I would
after
say no.
changes in.
he shouldn't have been.
Okay.
But
Okay. We got Mike.
Mark.
Mark.
All right.
Mike?
You okay removing it entirely? Okay, so retro to
Day one.
day one, yeah. So what I have to do is I have to, we're gonna have to call the court and tell them to remove all the tickets associated with Special Condition 40. So we'll look that up, we'll get the ticket numbers, and we'll let the court know that you're not responsible for that Special Condition 40, so you just take them off the list when you go to write the check.
Okay.
Literally.
I know what you want. I will work on it. And I will be in touch with Brandon so that he knows how we're moving forward and can get you the information if you want to come look.
Good for me.
All set?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second,
Roll call vote?
Mark Mangum, aye.
Jim Ford, aye.
Joe Fitzpatrick, aye.